The wind howls through the hollow valley, carrying with it whispers of a curse older than the moon itself. Beneath the frozen canopy of night, the kingdom of Ilarion sleeps uneasily, its towers shrouded in silver mist. And at the very edge of its forgotten woods, where no pack dares tread, she kneels, the girl they call the cursed Omega. Her name is Lyria. The rain clings to her like grief, tracing the curve of her jaw, pooling in the hollow of her trembling hands. Her hair, black as storm clouds, hides the faint crescent mark burning beneath her skin, a mark she was born with, the proof of the goddess's wrath. The pack had cast her out years ago, whispering that any who touched her would inherit her doom. And yet, even now, she cannot stop tending to the flowers that grow from her exile, white blossoms that bloom only under bloodied moonlight. You should not exist, the wind seems to murmur, but Lyria only closes her eyes and whispers back, "Then let me fade quietly." Her voice trembles like a prayer, unheard and unanswered. In the distance, thunder murmurs, not the voice of a storm, but the growl of something immense and alive. The night shivers. Wheels are said to vanish in these woods, taken by the curse she bears, but tonight feels different. The air is too heavy, the moon too close. She rises slowly, her breath ghosting before her lips, unaware that her destiny has already begun to move through the shadows, tall, cloaked in power and wearing the eyes of a king. From the far end of the forest, a storm begins to gather, not of rain or thunder, but of power. The trees bow as though bending to an unseen ruler, and the mist thickens into silver ribbons that twist around the trunks. Lyria feels it before she hears it, the pulse of something ancient, the rhythm of command. Her heart stutters. Every instinct screams for her to run, yet her feet refuse to move. The stories told by the elders return to her, of the Alpha King, born beneath a blood moon, cursed to destroy what he loves, doomed to walk alone until prophecy breaks. She had never believed such tales. Legends were for the blessed, not for those marked by the goddess's fury. And yet, as the air trembles and the howl of a single wolf cuts through the storm, she realizes the forest itself is calling his name. Branches part ahead, and through the mist comes a shadow too large to be mortal. A wolf, no, a titan among wolves, with fur the color of night and eyes that burn gold like molten suns. His breath steams in the cold air, each exhale shaking the earth. Lyria stumbles backward, terror clawing up her throat, but the creature only stares, unmoving, as if weighing her soul. Lightning cracks, and for a heartbeat, his outline flickers, not beast, but man. A crown of moonlight rests on his brow. A curse burns in his gaze. "You?" she breathes, unable to finish the word. The wolf lowers its head, growling low, the sound vibrating through her bones, not in threat, but in agony. For the first time she sees it, the wound that bleeds beneath his ribs, deep and unhealed. Against reason, against fear, she steps closer. "You're hurt," she whispers. The storm stills, the forest waits. When her hand reaches for him, the moon itself seems to hold its breath. Her fingers hover above his fur, trembling, afraid of both curse and consequence. The wolf's body quivers under the strain of existence, his breath ragged, his eyes flickering between wild instinct and buried humanity. When her skin finally touches him, a pulse surges through the air, a shock of silver light that ripples outward, bending the mist, silencing even the rain. Lyria gasps as heat sears her palm. The crescent mark on her wrist flares like molten fire, answering something deep within him. The wolf's golden eyes widen, not in rage, but in recognition. He collapses against the earth with a sound that is not quite a growl. It's a cry, ancient and broken. "What are you?" She whispers, her voice barely audible over the trembling forest. Her heart aches at the sight before her, this creature of power, leading and trembling, yet refusing to die. "Hold on," she says softly, tearing fabric from her tattered cloak. She presses it against the wound, ignoring the blood that stains her fingers black in the moonlight. The scent of iron fills the air, mixing with rain and moss, thick and haunting. The wolf exhales, his head bowing until it rests near her knee. She can feel his strength fading with each heartbeat. "Don't leave me," she pleads, not understanding why the words come so easily, why her soul aches for a beast she should fear. Then the storm answers. Lightning cuts across the sky, and in that flash she sees him, not a wolf, but a man lying before her. His body is tall, scarred, and marked with the same crescent symbol that burns upon her skin. His eyes open again, still golden, but human now, too human. "You," he rasps, his voice deep and strained. "You touched me." His hand, heavy and cold, reaches up to grasp hers, and for the first time in her life, someone does not recoil. "I am not meant to be touched," she whispers. His lips curve into a faint, pained smile. "Neither am I." The golden light of dawn trembles through the forest canopy, brushing warmth across the fallen Alpha King. Lyria sits beside him, drenched in silence and disbelief. His transformation is complete now, the beast gone, replaced by the man whose very name the world speaks only in fear. His skin bears the faint glow of runic scars, his breath shallow but steady. She cannot decide if what lies before her is a miracle or a punishment. "You shouldn't have helped me," he says weakly, his voice deep, raw, almost too human. She flinches, not at the words, but at the sorrow behind them. "You would have died," she replies. "I could not watch anything else die because of me." The corners of his mouth twitch in something like a smile, but it doesn't reach his eyes. "You don't understand. Death was mercy for me." Lyria studies him closely, the ache in her chest growing heavier. "Who are you?" she asks at last. He exhales slowly, eyes lifting toward the pale dawn sky. "A curse given a crown," he murmurs. "The Alpha King they buried in legends, Kale." The name strikes her like a storm. She's heard it whispered in fear, spoken only by those who still believe the moon punishes defiance. "Then it's true," she breathes. "The curse that burns what you love." Kale turns his gaze to her, eyes gold and weary. "And you have touched it." The mark on her wrist pulses again, faint and rhythmic. Lyria's throat tightens as the realization dawns. She carries not just his wound, but his fate. "You should run," he warns softly, his fingers curling into the earth, "before my curse remembers your name." But she doesn't move. For the first time in years, someone has looked at her without hatred, and she will not turn from that warmth, even if it kills her. "Then let it remember," she whispers, "because I won't forget yours." The world brightens with the first fragile glow of sunrise, spilling through the torn clouds like molten gold. Kale's body remains weak, but his presence fills the air, every breath he takes reshaping the silence around them. Lyria has stayed beside him through the night, her cloak soaked, her hands trembling from exhaustion. She watches his chest rise and fall, each movement proof that life still clings to him, though barely. "You should not have touched me," he murmurs at last, his voice deeper now, steadier. She startles at the sound, but he doesn't look at her, his gaze fixed somewhere far away, toward the edge of the forest where light and shadow wrestle. "I didn't think," she admits softly. "You were dying." He lets out a low laugh that doesn't reach his eyes. "Dying was my fate. You've stolen it from me." The words sting, but she sees the faintest hint of gratitude behind his bitterness. "Then I'll bear it," she replies, her voice trembling but sure. "If I've taken your fate, I'll carry it until the end." For a moment silence stretches between them, heavy, electric, intimate. Then he turns his head toward her, and his golden eyes pierce straight into her soul. "You don't know what you've done, Omega," he whispers. "The moment our blood touched, the curse shifted. You carry half of it now." The weight of his words sinks into her bones. She looks down at the mark on her wrist, glowing faintly beneath her skin, a reminder that her life is no longer her own. "What happens now?" she asks quietly. Kale's expression darkens, and the forest seems to dim with it. "The goddess does not forget what's owed," he says. "When she comes to reclaim her debt, she will not take it gently." His gaze softens just a little as he studies her face, a girl cursed by birth, now bound by choice. "You've tied yourself to my doom," he murmurs almost reverently. "And yet, I can't bring myself to let you go." Kale watches her in the dim light of morning, his expression a storm he can't contain. For centuries no one had dared to touch him. No healer, no warrior, not even the high priestesses who once worshipped his throne. Yet this fragile, outcast Omega had done so without hesitation, and now the universe itself bends to that defiance. "You don't understand what the moon's curse demands," he murmurs, his voice low, dangerous, almost reverent. Lyria looks up at him, her fingers tightening around the torn cloak between them. "Then tell me," she says quietly. "Tell me what I've stolen from you." He hesitates. The words seem to weigh more than his crown ever did. "My life is bound to the prophecy," he says. "Every touch I return claims the one who gave it, the last who dared." His voice fades, choked by memory. "She burned beneath the moon's light, and I buried her ashes myself." Lyria's breath catches, a flicker of horror in her eyes. "And yet you still reached for me," she whispers. Kale's gaze softens, gold melting to amber. "Because for the first time I wanted to be touched." A silence stretches between them, fragile as glass. The forest seems to listen, the air heavy with the scent of pine and promise. "If I am to die," she says finally, "then at least let it mean something." Kale's hand moves before his mind can stop it. His fingers brush her cheek, a gesture so tender it feels like sin. "You shouldn't want that," he breathes, his thumb trembling against her skin. "You shouldn't want me." Lyria's eyes lift to his, fearless despite the curse thrumming beneath her skin. "Maybe," she whispers, "but I think the goddess made a mistake when she thought love was her punishment." For the first time the Alpha King cannot speak. The curse flickers within him, but for one suspended heartbeat it does not burn. The days that follow blur into twilight and thunder. The forest keeps its secrets, but word spreads through the kingdom like wildfire. The Alpha King has returned. Kale moves through shadow and silence, concealing his presence from the court that once worshipped and betrayed him. Yet he cannot stay away from the one who touched him, the one who shifted his curse. Lyria feels him long before he appears, his aura ancient and commanding, stirring the air like the breath of storms. When he finally emerges from the mist, his cloak heavy with rain, she feels her heart stop. "You shouldn't have come back," she whispers. "The goddess will see." His golden eyes meet hers, fierce and unrepentant. "Then let her," he replies. "I have obeyed her cruelty long enough." He steps closer, the earth trembling beneath his boots. She can see the battle raging in him, power against mercy, curse against desire. "Every moment I stay," he murmurs, "I doom you a little more." "Then why stay at all?" she asks, her voice breaking. His answer is simple, devastating. "Because when you touched me, the silence ended." The confession hangs between them like lightning, dangerous, luminous, forbidden. Lyria's pulse pounds beneath her mark, that cursed crescent, now glowing faintly with each word he speaks. "You can't undo what's been done," she whispers. "If she takes one of us, it will be me." Kale's jaw tightens, anger flashing across his face. "No," he growls. "You will not die for me." But she only smiles, a sad, beautiful curve of defiance. "You said the curse spares what you hate and burns what you love. Then hate me, Kale. Hate me enough to live." His hand trembles as it cups her face, the conflict tearing through him. "I've forgotten how to hate," he admits, his voice shaking. And when his lips brush her forehead, the forest itself exhales, because even curses, it seems, can fall in love. The night is heavy with fog when Kale's soldiers finally find him, the lost king who was once believed to be dead. They kneel before him, trembling, unable to meet his gaze, for the curse that cloaks him is still alive, still feared. Lyria hides behind the thick roots of an oak, watching silently as the Alpha King reclaims the crown fate denied him. "My lord," one of the warriors whispers, his voice shaking, "the prophecy said you would return only when the moon's curse was broken." Kale glances toward the darkness where Lyria hides. "Perhaps," he says softly, "it already has." His voice carries an ache that even the goddess might envy. When the soldiers leave, he finds her waiting, eyes reflecting both fear and longing. "They'll take you back to the castle," she says, her tone uncertain. "They'll make you rule again." Kale shakes his head slowly. "They'll make me serve the prophecy again." "There's a difference." His steps draw him closer, his presence a quiet storm. "You've given me a choice where none existed." She frowns, unsure. "And what will you choose?" He looks at her as if the question itself hurts. "To love what I should destroy." The words fall between them like a confession and a curse. The forest holds its breath as he reaches out, brushing his thumb against her wrist where the mark glows faintly. "This bond defies the heavens," he murmurs, "and for that the heavens will bleed." Lyria's hand trembles, but she doesn't pull away. "Then let them bleed," she whispers. "Let them see what love they've never known." Kale closes his eyes, his jaw tightening as if bracing against the weight of destiny. When he speaks again, it's almost a prayer. "The moon will come for us soon." She meets his gaze without fear. "Then let her find us together." And for the first time in his cursed eternity, Kale smiles, not as a king, But as a man finally unafraid to lose everything, the castle of Elorion looms like a memory carved in stone, its towers still crowned with frost, its halls echoing with the ghosts of vows once broken. Cale stands at its gates for the first time in centuries, the rain clinging to his dark cloak, his golden eyes unreadable. The guards kneel in silence, uncertain if the man before them is king or curse. "Rise," he commands, his voice low and steady, a sound that makes even the storm obey. Lyria lingers a few steps behind him, her cloak drawn tight, heart pounding as whispers ripple through the ranks. "Who is she?" Someone murmurs. "The cursed Omega," another breathes. Cale hears it and his jaw tightens, but he doesn't turn. "She is under my protection," he says. "Any who question it will answer to me." Inside the grand hall, time seems frozen. Every torch burns with a wary glow as Cale takes his throne again, his fingers tracing the cracks that centuries have carved into it. Lyria stands before him, feeling the weight of every eye, every breath that wishes her gone. "You don't belong here," one of the elders sneers. "Our kind brings ruin." Cale's gaze lifts sharply, and the elder's voice falters. "Her kind," Cale says softly, "is the reason I still draw breath." The hall falls silent. Lyria's eyes widen, a flicker of disbelief in them. "You shouldn't say that," she whispers. "They'll turn against you." Cale leans forward on his throne, his voice carrying the weight of command. "Let them," he says. "If I am cursed, then let my curse wear her face." For the first time she sees it, the way the court trembles not because of his power but because of his defiance. The Alpha King has returned not as a savior, but as a man who would burn his own kingdom to protect what the moon forbade him to love. And though she fears what this rebellion will cost, her heart answers with quiet certainty. She would burn with him. That night, the castle feels alive, not with celebration but with fear. The torches flicker as if whispering secrets, and the shadows on the stone walls seem to listen. Lyria stands at the balcony of the king's chamber, watching the storm twist above the valley. The moon hides behind clouds, refusing to witness what's about to unfold. She senses it, the tension in the air, the eyes of those who would rather see her dead than beside their king. "You shouldn't have brought me here," she murmurs, her breath fogging the glass. "They hate me." Cale stands behind her, silent for a moment, then says softly, "They fear what they cannot control. They always have." She turns to him, her eyes searching his. "And what about you? Do you fear me?" His expression hardens, though his voice stays gentle. "No, Lyria, I fear what loving you will make me do." His confession feels like thunder before it breaks. He steps closer until she can feel the heat of him, the weight of centuries behind his stillness. "The moon's gaze is upon us even now," he continues, "and she will not forgive this bond." Lyria swallows, her hand brushing the crescent mark on her wrist. "Then let her take it," she whispers. "Let her take all of it if it means you can be free." Cale's eyes flash gold in the dim light. "Freedom means nothing without you." He reaches out, tracing her jaw with a tenderness that seems impossible for a creature born of ruin. "I once swore to kill whatever carried my curse. And now," he says quietly, "I would kill the heavens themselves to keep you." The words hang heavy in the room, dangerous and divine. Outside, thunder rolls again, not from the storm, but from the goddess herself, stirring in her celestial throne. Somewhere far above, the moon begins to glow red, the color of fury and fate. Lyria looks toward it, trembling, as Kale whispers against her skin, "We've already been seen." The moon bleeds through the clouds like an open wound, flooding the world in crimson light. The prophecy stirs. Kale feels it first, the curse in his blood awakening, the old chains tightening once more around his heart. He staggers, gripping the edge of the balcony, his breath turning shallow as silver veins glow beneath his skin. "It's starting," he grits out, his voice breaking. Lyria rushes to him, catching his arm, but the moment her skin meets his, the air burns. The mark on her wrist flares violently, bright enough to sear the night. "Kale," she cries, but he only shakes his head. "Don't touch me," he gasps, his eyes blazing gold. The curse remembers. The wind howls through the chambers, scattering papers, shattering glass. The moon's fury takes form, a whisper, a voice carried through thunder. "You defied my decree, Alpha King." The sound freezes Lyria's heart. She hears it not with her ears, but in her soul. "No," she whispers, "please," but the voice cuts through her plea like a blade. "You shared your curse. You dared bind her to it." Kale falls to his knees, every muscle trembling, the glow in his chest flickering like dying fire. "If punishment is due," he roars toward the heavens, "then let it fall on me." The castle trembles, and every torch extinguishes at once. The goddess's laughter rolls like distant thunder. "You forget, my son of night, the bond cannot be unmade." Lyria feels her strength draining, her mark pulsing faster, deeper, until her veins blaze silver. "Kale, stop fighting her," she begs, kneeling before him, her hands shaking as they cradle his face. "You'll destroy yourself." He looks at her, truly looks, and something in him breaks. "I'd rather die free in your arms," he whispers, "than live 1,000 cursed nights without them." The wind stills, the air fractures, and the moon's light explodes across the sky like divine wrath. The prophecy has awakened, and this time it will take what it's owed. The explosion of moonlight blinds the night, a scream of divine fury painted across the heavens. The castle walls tremble as the curse unfurls in full, spilling from Kale's chest like molten silver, writhing in the air like living fire. Every wolf in the kingdom howls at once, their cries echoing through the valleys, mourning what they cannot save. Lyria clings to him as the storm rages around them, her hair whipping like dark flame. "Kale!" she cries, but he can barely hear her through the roar of magic tearing at his soul. The glow of the curse wraps around them both, chains of light binding flesh to fate. "It's choosing," he gasps, his voice raw, broken. "One must bear it alone." Lyria shakes her head violently, tears mixing with rain. "Then let it be me," she shouts. "You've carried it long enough." Kale grips her wrists, his strength faltering as he stares into her eyes. "You don't know what you're saying," he breathes, blood trailing from the corner of his mouth. "It will consume you, Lyria. It doesn't kill you. It makes you wish it had." But she doesn't flinch. "If it keeps you alive, I'll take it," she whispers, her voice trembling with conviction. "The moon cursed you because you loved. Then let her curse me too." For a moment, the world stills. Even the goddess herself seems to hesitate. Then, with a sound like glass breaking, the light shifts, pouring from Kale's body into hers. Lyria screams, the sound echoing like the tearing of the sky itself. Her veins burn silver, her heart searing under the weight of divine agony. Kale tries to pull her away, but the light won't release her. It burrows deeper, binding her to him and to the moon's rage. "Lyria," he shouts, tears cutting down his face. She looks up at him through the storm, her voice barely a whisper. "You're free now." Then the mark on her wrist blazes one final time, and she collapses in his arms, her body still and radiant like moonlight turned to flesh. The world falls silent. The rain stops. Even the wind dares not move as Kale kneels in the ruins of his own defiance, cradling Lyria's body against his chest. Her hair fans across his arms like spilled shadow, her lips parted in a whisper that never found its end. The mark that once bound them flickers faintly on her skin, now dimming like a dying star. "No," he breathes, his voice hoarse, trembling. "You were not meant to pay for my sin." He presses his forehead to hers, his body shaking with grief that no immortal should ever feel. The curse is gone. He can feel it. The chains that had bound him for centuries lie shattered in the dust. But freedom tastes like ashes in his mouth. The moon glows cold and merciless above them, her light bathing the broken throne room in silver pity. "Is this your justice?" Kale roars at the sky, his voice echoing across the land. "To free me only when she is gone? To heal one wound by carving another?" His fury cracks the air itself, lightning splitting the heavens in answer. Yet beneath the rage lies something softer, despair too deep to name. He lowers his head, brushing a trembling hand across her cheek. "You foolish, brave soul," he whispers. "You thought love could outshine a curse. And now—" His words die as he presses his lips to her brow, his tears falling into her hair like rain reborn. But as the last drop lands, the faintest light stirs in her chest, a fragile pulse, soft as a sigh. Kale freezes, afraid to believe. The glow spreads, winding along her veins like threads of moonlight, weaving a faint pattern across her heart. The air grows warmer, the silence deeper, and then he hears it, a voice faint and distant, not from her lips but from the light itself. "The debt is paid, but love never ends." The goddess's voice, gentler now, almost mournful. Kale's breath catches as Lyria's body stirs faintly, her fingers twitching against his. "Lyria," he whispers, hope and terror colliding in his chest. The curse may have lifted, but the price was not yet done counting. Her breath returns like the echo of a forgotten dream, fragile, unsteady, and possibly alive. Kale holds her still, afraid that even his touch might steal her back from the edge. Lyria's eyelids flutter open, revealing not her usual deep brown, but a soft silver glow, shimmering like moonlight trapped in tears. "Kale," she whispers, her voice faint, unfamiliar, layered, as though another speaks through her. He cups her face, trembling. "I'm here," he says, his tone raw, reverent. "You shouldn't have come back." Her gaze drifts past him toward the broken sky. "I didn't," she murmurs, and her words fall like prophecy. A gust of wind sweeps through the hall, scattering petals of light. From the cracks in the walls, the moon's glow bleeds into the room, gentle this time, almost sorrowful. A voice follows, soft as a mother mourning her child. "You took what was never meant to be given." Kale looks up, fury flashing through his tears. "You speak of law," he growls, "but you know nothing of love." The moon goddess sighs, her light dimming. Love was never denied you, only postponed. Yet you twisted fate, and now her soul carries what you could not bear. Lyria's fingers brush against Cale's cheek, her touch feather light. She's right, she whispers. The curse is gone, but I'm not who I was. He catches her hand, pressing it to his lips. I don't care what you are, he breathes. You're still mine. But the silver glow in her eyes trembles with sorrow. No, Cale, I'm hers now. The moon led me back to you, but not for long. The realization strikes him like a blade. No, he whispers, shaking his head. Not again. She leans into him, her voice soft as dusk. Don't mourn me yet, she says. The moon is merciful tonight. The goddess's voice fades into the storm beyond, leaving them alone beneath her trembling light. Lyria smiles faintly, her hand resting over his heart. We still have until dawn. The hours that follow bleed together in quiet, desperate peace. Cale carries her to the courtyard where the rain has turned to mist, the ruins glowing faintly beneath the weeping sky. He wraps his cloak around her, shielding her from a cold that no mortal could feel. Though he knows it's not her body that's fading, it's her time. They sit together beneath the old oak, the same tree that once watched her heal a dying wolf. The memory feels like another life, yet the pain is as real as the pulse in his throat. You were never meant to save me, he murmurs, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Lyria smiles weakly. And yet? I did. Her words break him more than any curse could. She leans against his chest, listening to the rhythm of his heart, steady, strong, alive because of her. Do you remember the first night? She asks softly. You bled beneath the storm, and I thought the world was ending. Cale lets out a low, pained laugh. It was, only to begin again in your hands. Her eyes glimmer, tears catching in the moonlight. If love is a curse, she whispers, then it was worth every scar. He pulls her closer, his fingers tracing the faint crescent mark that still glows on her wrist. I would trade eternity for one more heartbeat with you, he says. Then you would waste eternity, she replies gently, because you already have it. Her hand rests over his heart, where her light still lingers. You carry me now, in every breath, every dawn. Cale bows his head, unable to speak. The air around them hums, not with prophecy, but with farewell. The moon peeks through the clouds once more, its light softer now, no longer cruel. When the sun rises, Lyria says quietly, I'll go where even curses fade. Cale's voice trembles. Then I will chase the night forever. She smiles, her eyes closing as dawn begins to stain the horizon. Then you'll find me there, she whispers, in the rain, where it all began. The horizon blushes with the first breath of dawn, soft pink and gold spilling through the fog like mercy. The forest exhales, ancient and weary, as if the world itself is holding its breath for what comes next. Lyria's pulse is faint now, not failing, but changing, her glow flickering in rhythm with the rising light. Cale holds her close, his body trembling with the terror of a man watching time steal what he finally learned to love. Stay, he whispers, his voice breaking. Just stay. Her lips curve into a faint smile. You always commanded armies, Cale, she says softly, but not even you can command the dawn. He lowers his forehead to hers, his breath warm against her fading skin. Then I'll defy it, he murmurs. I'll tear the heavens down if I must. She opens her eyes, silver, soft, infinite. You already have, she says. You defied the goddess and taught her what love meant. You broke her curse, not by strength, but by choosing me. Her hand lifts, trembling, tracing the scar at his collarbone, the mark of his curse now gone. You're free, she breathes. Don't waste it chasing ghosts. Kale's tears fall, each drop vanishing into her hair. You are no ghost, he says. You are everything real I have ever known. Lyria's breath hitches, and for a moment the glow beneath her skin brightens again, fierce, defiant, beautiful. She presses her palm to his heart. Then remember me in your mercy, not your grief. Her voice grows lighter, the words carried away by the wind. And if the moon ever asks what became of her curse, tell her it fell in love with its king. Her light begins to rise, tendrils of silver lifting from her skin, curling upward into the dawn. Kale clings to her as if his arms alone could hold back fate. Lyria, he chokes, don't leave me. Her eyes glisten, soft and endless. I'm not leaving, she whispers, as her form dissolves into the light. I'm returning, and with one final breath, she fades, her essence joining the morning sky. Where night and day meet to remember love, the dawn breaks fully. Yet the world feels dimmer without her beside him. The rain has stopped, but Kale still hears it. Phantom drops echoing in his memory the sound of the night she saved him. He stands alone beneath the ancient oak, his cloak heavy with dew, his heart heavier still. Around him the wolves gather in silence, sensing the shift in their king. Not the rage of the cursed ruler they once feared, but the hollow calm of a man who is loved and lost beyond mortal measure. His eyes, once molten gold, now burn with a softer light, grief shaped into reverence. He looks toward the horizon where her glow vanished, whispering, "You promised I'd find you in the rain." The forest answers with a gentle wind, stirring the leaves, as if she breathes through them still. Kale kneels, pressing his hand into the earth, feeling a faint warmth where her body once lay. The ground blooms with white flowers, their petals delicate, glowing faintly under the morning sun. He exhales a trembling laugh through his tears. "Of course," he murmurs. "Even gone you defy death." His voice breaks into silence, but the woods seem to hum back, carrying her whisper through the breeze. Love doesn't die. Kale, it changes shape. He closes his eyes and lifts his face to the sky. The moon still lingers faintly above the dawn, pale, fading, yet watching. For the first time she does not punish nor threaten. Instead, her light seems to soften, bowing as though in apology. Kale straightens slowly, his posture no longer that of a king, but of a guardian. "You took her from me," he says quietly, "but I will honor her every dawn you send." The wolves howl, the sound, low and mournful, echoing through valleys and time. And as Kale walks back toward the ruined castle, the flowers continue to bloom in his wake, each one a heartbeat, a reminder that even the moon's curse cannot silence what love began. Beneath the rain-dot seasons begin to turn, and with them so does legend. The kingdom rebuilds slowly around its scarred heart, but whispers of the cursed Omega and the Alpha King who defied the moon spread far beyond its borders. Some say she became a spirit of light who walks the forest during storms, her voice hidden in the rain. Others claim the king himself speaks to her still, beneath the old oak where love first bled into the earth. Kale rules quietly now, not with power, but with reverence. The throne that once symbolized dominion now feels like a shrine. He never takes another mate. He never forgets the sound of her laughter or the look in her eyes when she defied the heavens just to touch him. Each night he leaves the castle to walk the forest alone, his footsteps guided by the scent of rain and memory. One evening, the storm returns, soft and familiar, like an old song rediscovered. Lightning dances across the distant peaks, and thunder murmurs her name. Kale stands beneath the oak again, the air thick with promise. "Lyria," he whispers, "you once said I'd find you in the rain." The first drops fall, cold, gentle, alive, and with them comes her voice, faint but clear, woven into the rhythm of the storm. "Did you forget me, my king?" Kale's breath catches, his hand reaching toward the darkness. "Never," he answers, his voice trembling with both devotion and disbelief. The wind circles him like an embrace, soft fingers through his hair. "Then stop waiting," her voice sighs, "and live for what we became." The rain thickens, and for an instant he sees her, luminous, half-formed, standing beneath the silver branches. Her smile is gentle, her eyes endless. "I am always here," she whispers, "in the light that follows your shadow." Then she fades with the rain, leaving only warmth and quiet behind. Kale falls to his knees, tears lost in the downpour, whispering to the storm, "Then let it never stop." And from that night on, the kingdom's rains never cease, a heaven's promise that love, once born, cannot drown. Years melt into centuries, yet the story endures, carried by wind, whispered by rain, remembered by wolves. The forest where the curse once fell becomes sacred ground. No hunter dares cross its borders, for it is said the spirits of the Alpha King and his Omega still walk beneath the eternal storm. The old oak stands taller than ever, its roots entwined with silver veins that glow whenever the moon rises full. Beneath its branches lies a single stone, engraved with no name, only a symbol, the crescent mark of their bond. The villagers leave offerings there, petals, candles, small tokens of love they hope might be as eternal as theirs. On some nights when thunder rolls across the valley, two silhouettes appear in the mist, a man cloaked in shadow and a woman made of light, their hands always finding one another before vanishing again. Kale's legend becomes less of a warning and more of a hymn. He is no longer remembered as the cursed Alpha King, but as the ruler who taught even the gods what devotion meant. Lyria becomes more than myth. She is the voice in the rain, the warmth in the cold, the whisper that guides lost souls through the dark. Together, they are remembered not as tragedy, but as proof that love endures beyond divinity's cruelty. The moon, once a symbol of punishment, softens her light each time she looks upon their forest, her silver glow now tinted faintly gold, as if touched by forgiveness. And so the people of Ilarion grow beneath her gentler light, their songs echoing through generations, of the girl who healed the wolf and the king who defied the heavens to love her. On quiet nights the rains still fall softly on their graves, not mournful but grateful. For somewhere between each drop, if one listens closely enough, there is laughter. The laughter of two souls that never bowed to fate, still dancing through eternity beneath the storm that once cursed them as the centuries turn to dust. The legend of the Alpha King and his cursed Omega becomes more than myth. It becomes a prayer. Travelers tell of a forest where it forever rains, and where moonlight never burns, but only blesses. Beneath the old oak, where time itself bows in silence, the air hums with a love that never learned to die. Some say on nights when thunder rolls softly, and the mist glows faintly gold, the veil between worlds thins. Two figures walk there, his hand in hers, their laughter echoing through eternity, like the heartbeat of the world itself. The moon, now gentle and weary, watches from her throne of light. No longer the punisher, no longer the judge, she has become the witness of what she once condemned. Her glow trembles as she gazes down upon them, her voice a whisper carried through the rain. Love, once defied, has remade even me. The goddess who cursed them learns what mortals have always known, that love is not a gift to be given or taken. It is a fire that endures even after all light fades. In the kingdom of Valarian, no one fears the curse any more. The mark once seen as death's seal is now worn as a symbol of devotion. Lovers trace crescents upon each other's wrists and promise beneath the rain, until the moon herself forgets to rise, and each time lightning kisses the horizon. The forest glows silver-white alive with the eternal rhythm of two souls who refused to bow to fate. Their story ends not in sorrow, but in stillness. For love, true love, is not bound to life or death, it becomes both. Beneath the endless rain, the Alpha King and his Omega walk still, shadows of silver and flame, guardians of the vow that outlasted heaven's cruelty. The moon does not rise that night, for it has seen enough.